In September of 2013, Person Education and Ubisoft would release their second mobile game together, called Poptropica Forgotten Islands. Originally released for iOS, it was later released on Android and the Nintendo 3DS. This is part 2 of my video on the Poptropica DS games, so if you want more information about the website itself, head over to part 1, which will be linked in the description at the end of this video. In Poptropica Forgotten Islands, you travel between a collection of islands, collecting artifacts, blimp upgrades, and helping people. All of the islands have original plots, never before seen on the website or in Poptropica Adventures. At the beginning of the game, you create your character. This process is exactly like how it is on the site, same menu options, all of it. Name's a little different, I think, but for the most part. Next, we go to our very first island. Here, we learn the controls, which are the same as Poptropica Adventures of B to interact and A to jump. Although, note, in this one we cannot customize with the Y button. We have to go into the blimp to get costumes. And we meet this guy, Big Toe. Big Toe asks us to help him find the missing piece to his blimp. And once we bring it back to him, he has us unlock the map so we can leave the first island. So using this map, we can go to the other islands in this group, and there are 2 more here. On our next one, we talk to Big Toe again, and he tells us that his siblings might have some work for us if we can find them. So we run over and meet Little Toe, and she asks us to find her comb, says she lost it somewhere on the island, and if we find it, bring it back to her. So we go out, we find it. It's a multi-tool. It's not a comb, it's a multi-tool. But we bring it back to her, and she's like, ha ha ha, totally, don't brush my hair with that. Yep, totally. And she gives us 50 coins for doing this for her. Next, we pop on over to Bro Toe, who asks us to find him a set of gears. So what we do is we find 2 separate gears and a wrench, and we tap on the touch screen to connect them. Pretty interesting use of the touchpad on this one. So we take them back to Bro Toe, and we get another 50 coins, and he tells us to go talk to Big Toe. Well, back at Big Toe, he thanks us for helping him and his siblings, and he asks us why we're here. We tell him that we're an adventurer looking for artifacts, and Big Toe tells us that there might be an artifact on the Northeast Island, but we need to be careful because it's dangerous. He also tells us about buying clothes in the blimp, so if we pop inside, there's this whole menu where you can spend coins, and that's the only thing you can spend coins on. They're useless otherwise. On the 3rd island in this grouping, we meet Bro Toe again, who's looking for blimp parts, and we also find Little Toe, who tells us that if we find any blimp parts, to take them to Big Toe. So we find 2, metal scrap and a screwdriver, take him back to Bro, and he gives us 100 coins for doing that for him. So now we head back to the first island, which is the Northeast Island, and we find Big Toe again. He takes us to the cave and warns us that we need to be careful because there's something down there. So inside, we find the artifact, but before we can grab it, a person comes out of the shadows and just takes it away and tells us that we don't deserve it, which is fine, whatever. Big Toe tells us that the people are called the Mabaya, except note, he does not call them people, he calls them monsters and creatures, and that is how they refer to the entirety of this game. Yeah. But that the Mabaya don't want to share the artifacts, and they want to keep them for themselves. So, after we talk to Big Toe, we can head on out of here. We're leaving. The larger map, which we finally have unlocked, is full of island groupings and a bunch of obstacles that we have to get blimp upgrades to get through. Our first grouping that we get to after the Toe Islands is the Mystic Islands, and there are 4 islands in this grouping: the main quest island, a side quest island, and 2 unmarked islands. The unmarked islands are typically used for things in the main quest, but sometimes they're just coin islands where you can go and get more coins. The side quest island has a very stereotypical looking witch doctor, and yes, that is his name. That's the only name we get for this character, who needs help, our help, to make a purple potion for a sick guy that's on this island. So we find a red potion and a blue potion and mix them together to make them a large purple potion and take it to the sick guy. Well, sick dude doesn't want it. He thinks it looks weird and it smells funny and he wants us to shake it first. So we use the touchscreen to shake it again. Interesting use of the touchscreen. And then he finally drinks it, and we get 100 coins for doing that. Now, we can pop on over to the main quest island. On this island, we encounter like the remnants of a pyramid, some like ruins, and a team of researchers, archaeologists called Trinity Syndicate, and they will pop up a lot. Yeah. And before Trinity Syndicate will let us through and give us access to the rest of the islands, because apparently they have that authority, they make us do 3 tasks for them, like impossible tasks. The first dude wants the tip of a mountain, the peak of a mountain. The next dude wants the top of a pyramid, and the third guy wants an ancient roof. I don't know. Why do they want this stuff? Why are they taking it? Why are they here? So after we find all 3 of these items, they reluctantly give us access to the rest of the islands because, again, apparently they have the authority to do so. On the northern island, we find a village and some clues and stuff leading to stuff within the village. And this village likes Trinity Syndicate, I believe. Some of the others that we run into don't, but this one likes Trinity Syndicate. So I guess that's why they have the authority to restrict access to islands. It's still weird. Why do these people have the authority to do this? So the clues lead to literally nothing on this island. We follow all of them and it's just a stump. So we ask the villagers if they know anything about it, and we learn that the clues are for another island, one that's been broken off and drifted from this one. It used to be connected, but they're not anymore. So we head to that island and we follow the clues again. And here we find our final clue telling us to follow what Mother says. So we find a statue of a tall woman and we dig at her feet using the touchscreen again and find our very first artifact and get a blimp upgrade. We get the engine for doing this, which will help us get through those whirlpools on the big map. And we pop on out of here to our next group of islands. The next one we go to is the Giant Islands, a main quest, a side quest, and an unmarked island. The main quest island, we meet Chuck and his crew of archaeologists. He asks us to check out a sighting of a giant because his crew is too scared to keep going. So we pop on over to check it out, and it's just a skeleton. It's just a skeleton. So we report back to Chuck, and he thanks us and tells us the history of the island and all that. And he tells us to bring him any bones that we may find so he can put them together. On this island, there are 5 bones, and they're dinosaur bones, which is pretty cool. And we take them back to Chuck. Turns out we have to help him put this together. So we tap on the touchscreen and we put the dinosaur together, and we get another artifact and a cannon for the blimp, which will help us get through the rocks. So this island grouping side quest is finding some supplies for a camper who's there looking for giants. And once we bring them the supplies, we get 100 coins, and that's it on this island. There's nothing here. The other island is empty, and it's just for coins. So we just leave. Our next grouping is the Blue Islands. This one also has 3 islands, 1 main quest and 2 unmarked. Here we find Trinity Syndicate again. And we have to do 2 more tasks for them. The third guy just won't let us through regardless, so it's useless. The first guy wants us to open a can using the touchscreen, and this is the dude who wanted the tip of a mountain, so apparently he just needs a strong guy in his life, and you know what, good for him, I guess. Why are you here? Go home. And the next quest we have to do is bringing a bag of treasure from a castle to this dude. Don't know why he can't get it himself, and like I said, the third guy doesn't want anything. But what makes this weirder is if we go past them, there's another village. The villagers don't like Trinity Syndicate, but they're here and they're blocking access to the rest of the village, which is absolutely insane. Like, what authority do they have to do this? But because these villagers don't like Trinity Syndicate, we have to prove that we are not Trinity, and they ask us to do that by helping them. So they ask us to collect some blue wood, find a personal journal that they don't want Trinity Syndicate reading, and to find one person's pet snake that they need to feed, but the snake is not on this island anymore, and they don't want to leave this island because of Trinity. Trinity are not good people. Why are they here? So the Journal and the Wood are on the northeast island, and the Snake is on the northwest. And on the northwest island, there's a guard standing there, and we can't get past him. So we run back to the village. So we drop off our items, tell the person that the snake has been fed, and return to that one villager, and they thank us and give us access to the northwest island. Turns out that's where they hide the artifact that Trinity Syndicate wanted, but because Trinity Syndicate didn't ask nicely, they don't get it. But apparently because we helped, we get it. Okay, so we run back to that island, collect the artifact, and then get out of there. The next island grouping is the Wild Islands. 1 main quest and 2 unmarked here again. On the main quest island, we find Truck's crew. Well, 1 member of Truck's crew, and learn that the rest of the crew and Chuck himself have been captured by the Mabaya. And this dude needs our help getting them back. So, further into this island, we find 2 of the Mabaya, who tell us that the crew was taken to the northeast island, and that if we don't hurry, their leader will eat them. Yeah, they're cannibals, apparently. We're doing this again. So we find the crew member on the northeast island who says he'll cover us from way back there, which means he's going to do absolutely nothing. So we have to run in and find the crew. After finding all of them and freeing them, we run back to that original guy and tell him that we can't find Chuck and that we have to go to the next island to find him. So we get to that next island and try to free Chuck, but the leader of the Mabaya has the key in his pocket, so we can't free Chuck. But the rest of the crew shows up and threaten the guy, and he gives us the key, and, we can leave. We get an artifact for freeing him, and we can just leave now. They're fine, I guess. Staying on this island and the Mabaya aren't going to cause any more problems. I still don't understand the point of having the Mabaya in this game. It just kind of feels gross to me. So next, we get to the Floatsome Islands. 1 main quest island and 2 unmarked islands again. On the main island, we find another village and learn that this one's been ransacked by pirates. Yeah. So we need to go talk to the mayor, and we learn that supplies can be found around the island, and that if we bring them back to town, that the villagers will help us load them up. Yeah. And we run into a pirate when we're looking. So we're looking for supplies. We run into a pirate we've just been told is stealing supplies. And this pirate makes it very clear that we are not allowed to keep these supplies. So we are just setting ourselves up to be robbed here, but we keep going. We get the supplies and bring them back to the village and to the mayor, who takes them and says, all right, we'll help you load them up. Come to my big, cool mayor house, which we never get to go inside, and then we'll get you all golden. So we go back to the mayor's house, and he's like, I'm so sorry. They made me. Turns out the pirates stole our stuff. What a shocker. We've been robbed. So we talked to the other villagers, and they're like, yeah, they're on the northeast island. It's your funeral, man. So have at it. So we go to the northeast island, find the camp, and get our stuff back. But then we get confronted by the captain, who tells us that they're going to ambush the revolting villagers because, no, why are they doing that? So now we've got to run around the island and convince all the villagers to go home so they don't die, which apparently is a thing. One of them even suggests that they just wait there to ambush the ambush. That's not how that works, but sure, your funeral, I guess. So we talk to all of them, round them all up, and they all go back home. Well, they say they're going back home. And we run back home. Well, we run back to the main island to talk to the mayor. And the mayor gives us an artifact and what I think is a lightning rod, but it's meant to do the opposite of what a lightning rod, an anti-lightning rod. It's meant to, keep the lightning away from us so we can go through the storms. So, yeah. Which lets us get to our very last group of islands that we're actually going to go to, because there's nothing on the other islands. I checked. I promise there's nothing there. Okay, so in the Gear Islands, there's a side quest and a main quest island and an unmarked island. The side quest is to find a piece of a flying machine, and we get, 100 coins for that. It's fine. That's how the side quests work. On the main quest island, we find another village, and they ask us to help their island inventor because he's refusing to invent anything and locked himself in his house. So we get to his house, and of course it's locked, and it's locked with this intense gate, and we follow the wires or whatever, and we find the generators, and we turn them all off. We're breaking into this man's house. So we turn off all the generators using the touchscreen, and the tapping and the swiping and all that, that's all we do. So we go back to the dude's house and walk through the front door after destroying his lock, because that's what you do apparently. And he's like, why are you in my house? And we offer to help him, and he asks us to help him build his blimp, fix his blimp so he can leave. So we find the 3 pieces he needs and bring them back. And this man wants 3 more pieces. This time he wants fancy pieces because it's a fancy blimp. So we go out and find the fancy pieces and give them back to him. And he's like, great, I'm golden, I'm going, bye. So he is ready to go. And we run back to the village, and they're like, hey, you have to stop helping our inventor. And we're like, why? He just wants to leave. And they're like, yeah, that's why. We can't let him leave, so stop. And we're like, sorry, we already did it. You can't keep this man prisoner. And they're like, oh, well, whatever. Have this artifact. We don't really care about it. So we get the last artifact. And that's just it. That's the storyline. There's nothing else to the story. We get the last artifact, and that's it. I'm going to be completely honest here. I did not like this game. The only fun part was the costumes, and I mean, I got all the coins I needed. I could buy literally all of them, but I didn't want to. I made myself an astronaut at the end. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But like, the controls were clunky. I had the same problem with Poptropica Adventures. I didn't like the way the controls were at all. But the storyline, you go from island to island helping people, and they give you their artifacts. They just give them to you. This random stranger who did maybe 3 things for them, they give you an artifact. In some cases, you don't do anything for them. You actively harm their island, and they just give you an artifact. And these artifacts tell us the storyline of Poptropica, of the Forgotten Islands. And we learned that the Mabaya were forced underground due to like natural events. And they came back and scared off the surface-dwelling Poptropicans. And why are the Mabaya monsters? They're not. Why is the characterization that they're cannibals? That's gross. What is this? This was in 2013. That is not an excuse. You should have known better by then. And it doesn't help that the plot of the game was so boring. You ran around collecting things for people. You couldn't go in really anybody's houses. There were a handful of places you could enter. It was mostly collecting coins, and there weren't any mini games. As tedious as the mini games got in Poptropica Adventures, at least they were there. There was nothing else to do but run back and forth. It was really boring. Also, it should have been way clearer that Trinity was bad. Trinity Syndicate was not a good group. They were in the wrong, and why were they? Who gave them that authority? Who gave them that authority? Get off of these people's islands. You don't own this stuff. Go home. Stop stealing things. I mean, so much of this played into really harmful stereotypes and the mishmash of cultures. Like, there was no one cultural identity here. They didn't have real inspiration from any one people. It was just a mashup of a bunch. Like, the pyramids look very Mayan, and then some of the islanders have very African-looking garb, or like inspired by African animals garb. And then there's the pillars and the statues that look really Greek, the kind of the stuff they used on the mythology island on the main website. It was really confusing and a little jarring at times to go from island to island and see such different aesthetics. And I don't expect them to keep to just one, but there was like nothing distinguishing them really. And it just felt weird. And none of it was like nice to the people they were portraying either. I mean, a lot of them didn't even get names. Some of them were listed as a tribesman or a native or a villager, and that's just... Why? Why would you do that? Just harmful stereotypes. And the other islands, the groupings that I didn't show, all that those were fetch quests. Fetch quests and coin islands. There was nothing else to do on all of them. And honestly, as annoying as parts of Poptropica Adventures were, none of it got this bad. None of it made me have this reaction. I was playing this, and I got to the island with the ones dressed in like animal skins, and I stopped and showed my partner. I was like, look at what this is. Look at this. And we're both like, how did they get away with this? Why would they make it like this? It was really disappointing. It was really disappointing. I went into this one with pretty high hopes because Adventures was really good. I played Poptropica Adventures first, and I did enjoy it. It got tedious and boring after a while, but it's a kid's game. That's gonna happen. I'm an adult. It's a kid's game. It's not for me. But this one was bad. And it disappointed me. I was playing it and it disappointed me. And I would have been disappointed as a kid. Genuinely, I would have been disappointed as a kid because the storyline wasn't really there. There was no want for me to go back and replay it at all. Like, I replayed the Poptropica Islands over and over and over again. No part of me wanted to go back and redo this story at all. And I could have gone back and started over, but no part of me wanted to at all. I deleted the game off of my DS. I will never play it again. I deleted my save file. I don't care about it. It's not worth the space on my SD card. So yeah, it seems a whole lot like they cared a lot less about this game than Poptropica Adventures. Even though they made a whole new storyline for this one, it really does feel like they cared a lot less about it. But Poptropica holds a really special place in my childhood, in my memories. And that's what makes this so disappointing. That's what makes this game so disappointing. But at least I have adventures. Hey. Hi. Thank you so much for watching part 2. My channel has seen an increase of traffic in the last couple of weeks thanks to that Grimace video. And I really wanted to spend the time to make this video better and put more time into it and more effort into it. And I think I did that. So I hope you enjoyed it. I really want these to be good, and I want to keep up this quality. So at the very least, thank you all so much for your support, and I really hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye.